Whether you are crazy excited to go on this date, totally dreading it, not as excited, in that awkward situation of where you're on a double with like not the guy that you want to go on a date with, or any dating situation, these tips are going to help you not only be an incredible date, but help you to have an incredible date. So I'm going to share with you my dating secrets that made it so that regardless if I was going on a guy that I just was like not going on a date with a guy that I was not into versus like crushing hardcore, I want to kiss this guy. These tips are going to help you be an incredible date and have this guy asking you out again and again. So let's dive into these tips. Okay, I feel like I had a very like wide variety of dates when I was in high school. I went on the date where I just like did not want to, my parents told me I needed to. Zero interest in this guy. I've been on the dates where I'm like crazy for this guy and I think he's falling for me and I'm falling for him, and I'm just so Twitter-pated I don't even know how to act. And then I've been on these dates where it's like my ex-boyfriend is going to be in our group with his new girl and I'm going in the same group. I don't know why they thought to like, let's go on a group date and you should take Abby, but I've been in all those situations. And so these are the tips that I've learned to be an incredible date in all those situations. And first and foremost, and this is the first tip for a reason, dress comfortably and confident. So a lot of girls, they get, especially if you're excited to go on this date, they can overdo it in the way that they look, or they can dress in ways that make them feel uncomfortable, or even make the date uncomfortable because your high heels are too high. You can't walk very long. And I've done this before, we've all done this, where you're really excited, so you wear a shirt that looks super cute on you, but maybe it's a little bit too tight. Maybe it's a little bit too low. Maybe it's a little bit just too much, and you just weren't really sure, but you wore it because you felt like you felt cute, but now you're going to really doubt how you look all night. Just my advice for anybody going on a date is just wear clothes that are comfortable, clothes that fit the activity. So hopefully they've told you what you're doing beforehand, so you can wear appropriate shoes and appropriate attire. Always bring like a jacket with you, and just wear clothes that you can feel really confident and beautiful in. I love wearing new clothes. It does give you like a little bit of a confidence boost, but I'd almost encourage you to wear like tried true outfits where you feel extremely beautiful in, because you want to be comfortable and confident. Okay, this one makes you an incredible date, which is focus on your date. A lot of teens on dates, they kind of get this perception, well, I can't show too much interest. I can't, focus on him too much, or he'll totally know I like him, or he'll think that I like him. Maybe you've been in that awkward situation that I have been in, where you're going on a group date and your ex, or the boy that you've had a fling with, or that you'd really like to be on a date with, is in that group. I want to really encourage you to focus on your date. Make sure they feel like that you're really aware of them. And that doesn't mean that you can't talk to other people. That doesn't mean that you can't like maybe go look at something where they go look at something over here. But just be sure that you have this like mental tether, like, I know where my date is. I want them to feel like I'm here with them. That is the whole purpose of this tip, because sometimes in our teenage ego, for whatever reason, on different sides of the scale, we say like, oh, I'm not gonna be too into them. Okay, this tip has saved my life a million times over. Be prepared for anything. And I'm not asking you to bring like a Swiss Army knife on your date, or to be like a Boy Scout and be ready for anything, but I am saying let's cover the basics, girlfriend. Have your wallet, your ID on you. Make sure that you at least have a $20 bill with you. Cash is always good, because you just don't know. Like, I've been at so many places where my date's been so thoughtful, so like we're going to like an amazing place in Salt Lake City, and we go to park and they're like, oh, we only take cash, right? And it's not that your date wasn't planning on parking. He totally has his card, he wants to pay, but he doesn't have cash, right? So sometimes it's really great to have cash. Sometimes it's great to have your card in case. I've been on dates before when the guy wasn't trying to pull anything, and he just genuinely forgot his wallet in the car, right? And then he like Venmo'd me later because I had to cover something right there in the moment. Have money, girlfriend. Have some money on you, even though, yes, they should pay. And yes, you know, you want to make sure that, you know, if you're going on this date with them and they ask, they're paying and they're taking you out. But I've also been on that date where I totally, like, he asked me out, he told me it was a date, but then we get there and he's like, oh, well, do you want to cover half of that, or I'll let you pay for your ticket? And you're just like, okay, you know, so have some money to cover your butt. I say bring a jacket. This is where like really good shoes come in handy, that you've chosen to wear shoes that you can walk in, or just at least dance in, even if you're going to prom or something big. Bring chapstick, especially if you are kind of like digging this guy. I'd bring some Yummy chapstick versus like lip gloss that's not very kissable. I would have some basics of makeup in your little purse. Like, I know you don't have to be a purse person, but bring a purse on a date, because you're gonna want maybe a little mascara, a little cover up, just anything. You don't know what's gonna happen. And yeah, a granola bar. I always brought a granola bar or maybe some nuts in my purse, because I don't know about you, but like, I like to eat like throughout the whole day. And I would go on dates with people where they were like, oh, I'm gonna feed you dinner, but it's like 9 o'clock at night. And I'm like, we still haven't had dinner and I'm starving. And it's really hard to be a great date when you're hangry. So bring like a granola bar. Those are just some basics. Obviously, like, you bring what's important to you. Oh, like tampons, right? Like anything like that you're just like, it would be the ultimate disaster if neither one of us had money to pay for something. If I like started to bleed through my pants, like, just have some of those basics, okay? So that you're prepared for anything and you don't find yourself in a really bad situation because, you know, you didn't bring a granola bar and now you can't even like stand to be around people because you're so hungry. Okay, be in a good mood. Now, I know you're like, okay, given. But like, genuinely, I really hope that you can put yourself in a great mood, that you can have high energy, because regardless if you're like, I'm not excited about this date, it's a pity date, I don't want to go, whatever. Maybe you guys like broke up, but you still are like going to prom together. I don't know. Like, I've been in those situations too. It sucks. You're not very excited, but I hope that you can like turn your attitude on that so that you do have excitement. And I'll share with you some ideas on that, because also on the flip side of like, this is my boyfriend, or I'm so crazy about this guy and we like each other, or I'm just excited to go on a date with my really good friend, sometimes that can turn into nerves. And then you just like aren't your cute bubbly self because you're just so nervous and you don't want to make a mistake. And do I hold his hand? Do I not? I just don't know. Like, let's turn those moods around. So let's go back to example 1. You're not excited about this date. Let's pretend it's, this happened to me. I asked a boy to a dance way in advance because that's what you do. We had a fling and then he totally shattered my heart. And I don't know why. I totally should have just told him like, hey, let's not go to this Christmas dance together. I'll ask somebody else. But I didn't, because I still liked him. But I remember really being so nervous and kind of dreading that dance because I just wasn't sure and I didn't feel like he really wanted to go with me. But I was able to have a great time because I was like, you know what? I'm going to look so smoking hot. I'm going to be the cutest, flirtiest, best date he's ever had, that he is going to like get on his knees and beg to date me again and be so sorry that he broke my heart, right? And that kind of excited me. I know you're like, that's morbid, that's weird. It is what it is, but it helped me to have an incredible date, even though this guy totally had like shattered my heart and now I'm treating him to dinner, you know? But I was able to have a great time because I was like, you know what? This is a little bit of a revenge date, okay? So if you need to go there, you can go there, girlfriend. Be gracious and complimentary. I swear by this one because as somebody on the opposite end of this, like when a guy compliments me, even if we're just friends, it really means the world to me. It really melts my heart and it really endears me to them, even if we're just totally friends. But, you know, I've gone to dances with guys and we're just 100% friends, and, you know, have him be like, Abby, you know what? You look so nice tonight, or you look so beautiful. it just feels good. And it can feel a little bit weird, especially as a young woman, to compliment your date. But ladies, you should. He's taken time to get ready. You should be sure that you either like compliment the way that he looks, or if that's kind of you're like, I don't want to send him the wrong vibes at all, then you just compliment him, say like, thank you so much for taking me on a date. Like, you just are incredibly gracious and really complimentary of the activity. Just being complimentary, just being gracious is going to go so far in making this guy just feel fondly about the date in general. And that's what our goal is, right? When we leave somebody at the doorstep, regardless if that's with an awkward friend hug or the avoiding a kiss from that guy you don't want to kiss or getting that kiss, you want that guy to walk away feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I took Sally on a date. I'm so glad I took Abby on a date. This is like a secret tip that's just gonna like put your date over the edge. Make the conversation about them. And a caveat, if you're on a group date, like make it about obviously the people, not just like your date, but make it about other people and make it about your date. So while you're there, pretend you're going to a movie, chat before the movie and show interest in them of like, just talk about them and what they like and what they're doing with their life and why, this movie, do they have an interest in it? Or like, just talk about them. One, it takes the pressure off of you, because when people start to talk about themselves and what they like, they love it. Even the shyest person in the world loves to open up about themselves because we are a safe topic. Guess what? I might not be an expert in Marvel movies or skateboarding or the activity that we're doing, but I'm an expert in Abby. I know everything about myself. There's not something that you could ask me about myself that's gonna stump me or gonna make me look dumb or embarrassed. And so do that for your date. Talk about them. Talk about the group. Don't make the conversation about you. And if you feel like it is starting to kind of be the Abby show a little bit because you're following these tips, people are like, you are a contagious girlfriend. Like, people want to be around you. Be sure to deflect that and start to talk about other people. Let other people shine. This tip, oh my gosh. Okay. Be highly aware of when to end the date. This tip, I was gonna just dive right into it. I have done this so right and I've done this so wrong, but I feel like I had this hypersensitivity of when the date should end. And if you can play this right, this guy can be putty in your hands. Because sometimes you're on a date, and especially if you're not excited about this date, or he's maybe way into you and you're just like not into him, the date can really feel like it's dragging on. And so you want to be really highly aware of, I'm kind of done with this date, but I still want to be a good date and I want to make sure we get through with the activity or whatever we're doing. But I need to be aware of kind of when to end this date. And sometimes that's a little bit more in your control than it isn't. But I think a lot of young women are like, well, just when he takes me home is when he takes me home. And I'm like, no, you've got some ability in there. Even if this was always the worst, because my go-to was, if this date isn't going well, or I just like am ready to go home and I'm feeling myself not be my best self because I'm getting tired, I'm getting hungry, I'm just getting done. My go-to was like, you know what? My curfew's coming up. It's 10:30, right? My real curfew was midnight, right? But he doesn't need to know that, right? And so he would take me home sooner. If the worst was when they like asked your dad at the door, they're like, so when do you need her home? And my dad's like, oh, just midnight. And I'm like, Dad, no, because now he knows that midnight's the time. But you can always turn to your date and just say, you know what? I'm getting so tired. Or sometimes like people want to turn it into marathon dates, which is going to happen to you when you follow these tips and you're a really great date. And this guy's just like, I want to keep hanging out with this person. And you're like, yeah, I'm kind of done. It's okay to just say, you know what? I'm so tired. Do you mind if you take me home? Or, it's been the funnest date ever. I'm just getting a little bit tired. Do you mind taking me home? You can even pull if you have to, the like, kind of not feeling good. but you can like really sense and take control of that instead of letting it. A lot of girls, they do so good at these tips, and then at the very end when they're just done, they really fizzle out. So I say just take the bull by the horns and be like, you know what, I've really got an important test tomorrow. Can you take me home? And then make sure that you're really complimentary and gracious so they don't feel like a fizzling at that end. On the other side of this coin, there's some dates that are just kind of magical. They just kind of have that it factor, and maybe this date started as friends and now you're like, there might be something between us. Maybe this, is really going somewhere for you in this relationship. You can be highly aware when that date ends. And I remember guys doing this to me, and I thought, oh, that was kind of clever. I was taking a guy home from our date, and we dropped off our other date. So it's just me and him in the car, and we're driving home, and I went to go turn onto the highway, and he's like, oh, no, what are you doing? And I was like, oh, I'm like, this is the way to take you home, right? It's on the highway. And he's like, no, let's take the long route. Let's go through the city. Let's go through like our little town, which honestly probably just added 2 minutes to our drive, maybe 5 at the most. But I just remember, one, it like was really flattering to me because I was like, oh, he wants to like be on this date longer with me. But 2, that was like him like not only expressing he wanted to hang out with me more, but just like extending the date, even if it was just by 5 minutes. So take that cue card, girl. Like if you're having a great time with your date and maybe you're like wanting to extend it, like really pick up from their cues, and you know what, like take that power. Oh my gosh, this video's got me like all excited. I want to like have my hubby take me on a date, but I just hope that this video helps you get that excitement about dating, because dating is so much fun. And some of my best stories that I use when I go and I speak to young women groups all over are like from dates where I didn't want to go, or I just had no idea what was going to happen. And so I hope that if you find yourself on a bad date, that you just turn it into an experience, that you just turn it into a memory, that you're like, I'm going to laugh about this one day, and I cannot wait to share this with my mom and dad when I get home. So I hope that these tips help you out. I just feel like these tips helped me to be an incredible date all the time, and really made it so that people ask me out quite frequently. And so I want that for you. Babe, if you've got a question, if you've got a comment, if you've got a great pickup line, put it down below so all of us can benefit from it. And please like and subscribe to my channel so that you can learn how to master like young adulthood and this journey and create the life of your dreams. So I'm wishing you the best of luck. Can't wait to hear about your dates, and I'll see you in my next video. Abby J out.